Classically, the climate of magical girl anime has been female-targeted with a small male appeal. This has been noticeable in shows like Sailor Moon. Nowadays, the popularity of male viewership has been inflating, and they can be seen involved in properties such as Pretty Cure. Many reasons have contributed to this rise in male viewership, but I'm interested in the specific factors that escalated our target magical girl show, Mahou Shoujo Lyrical Nanoha, to an almost entirely male fandom. Fan service. Classic magical girl anime certainly had their share of fan service, especially prominent during the long transformation sequences common among these shows. But often they're blurred or stylized to not outright outline the appeal. Nanoha escalates this fan service just slightly using techniques such as unmuddling the transformation sequences to emphasize underwear, as well as including panty shots within the anime itself. Both of these blatantly direct focus towards male viewers and don't require much analysis, so I'd like to move on to the second factor, conflict resolution. In classical magical girl shows, factors such as friendship and magic are utilized by the heroines to defeat an all-encompassing evil. Usually the struggle is internal or an external one that centers on ideals or feelings. What Nanoha has instead is two characters in immediate head-on conflict utilizing their magic as brute force to fight the other. In the show, Nanoha preaches friendship, but she has no qualms in obliterating her foes with displays of overwhelming strength. These head-to-head battles directly comparing power levels are much more reminiscent of battle shonens like Dragon Ball Z than they are of the ultimate Pretty Cure. The story itself continues as straightforwardly with brief skirmishes, continually escalating the shows of power and super attacks and so on. That is, until the collision of powers can no longer be contained by the physical rules of the Nanoha universe and approaches near disaster. Luckily, the plot has other ideas in store than trying to introduce a complex post-apocalyptic narrative into the shonen battle magical girl anime. Instead, the show goes the entire opposite way and introduces a just as complex science fiction narrative with a multitude of planets and factions, and this is like episode 6, science fiction. So our sci-fi battle shonen magical girl anime continues to escalate with Nanoha getting stronger and stronger until she is able to beat the friendship out of her enemy, named Fate, by the way, and some other less important finale stuff happens too. What's interesting is how this franchise was almost seemingly crafted to appeal solely to male tendencies, and how it was able to capitalize so thoroughly on entrancing a population of leaning, more classically feminine dudes and almost trick them into a very traditionally masculine property. Which, of course, from the character art or title cards, you probably wouldn't normally call a show like Nanoha masculine. Which brings us to the catchy thesis of Nanoha manlier than Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball mainly appeals to masculine dudes, albeit some a little more nerdy and shows them manly things. Nanoha appeals to less manly dudes and shows them just as manly things. Perhaps not the goal, but a consequence of this is a conversion towards masculine tendencies. Dragon Ball makes men slightly more manly, perhaps, but Nanoha has the manpower to make less manly dudes men, meaning Nanoha is definitely more manly than Dragon Ball Z. Couple side notes here. The weaponry and magic systems of Nanoha are very technologically and categorically dressed, appealing more masculine. The idea that problems should be resolved as simply as possible is a very manly approach to conflict resolution. At the end of the first season, Fate is set to be tried for her crimes, adding an air of realism and weight to the story in its entirety. I could have explored the breadth of the consequences as an additional factor to be manlier than Dragon Ball, but I left it out for brevity and ease of understanding. Which is to say, I was too lazy and didn't want to. Lesbian tendencies in the show. These are interesting because they do appeal to male fantasy, but they are also liberatingly female. More delving into sexualities, however, has been done by academia, so it was not included in the scope of this assignment.